Good morning, it's Devin here with Ground Force Metal Detecting. Got this question on the XP Deus II regarding the depth meter. And this person asked me, where is the depth meter on an XP Deus II? Well, on the XP Deus II, let me answer your question. Then I'm going to go into depth meters. But on the XP Deus II, if you have it in a number profile with a big number or small number, and not the XY screen, but one of those two profiles, there is a what is nicknamed the horseshoe. Okay, the left side graph is for ferrous, and the right side graph is for non-ferrous. And the amount of color in that gauge corresponds to the depth of your target. Now, more color, a full graph is a shallow target, and a small amount of color indicates a deeper target. Okay? Now, with depth meters on any metal detector, okay, they are not actually measuring depth. Okay? In order to measure depth, you'd need some sort of sonar or radar type function, which bounces a sound wave or radio wave off of an object and times how long it takes to get back. And that's how radar and sonar work for determining literal depth. Metal detectors don't have that. Okay, no metal detector has an actual depth meter. They are all signal strength meters. Okay, now, can you infer depth from a signal strength meter? Yes, you can use it as a tool, as one tool, to infer the depth of your target. Okay, you use it along with sound usually, and the actual length of the tone, and where your start and end is, and how high up you can pick up the coil and still get that target. There's different ways to use to infer the depth of the target, and all these things, once you're highly experienced, all these things happen pretty quick and almost subconsciously. um, it's a matter of hearing the sound and looking at the depth meter simultaneously, and your brain will start to process it. Is it always right? Heck no, it's not always right. Everything in metal detecting, well, like I said, there's no always. Okay, everything in metal detecting is sort of an educated guess. All right, now here's why they call it a depth meter. They calibrate that signal strength meter, and some metal detectors will go as far as to tell you inches of depth on the meter. And in the manual, they'll kind of give you what is actually an estimate of depth. Now, that all those figures are calibrated from a certain size and conductive a target of certain size and conductivity. Okay, usually it is a coin, non-ferrous coin, 1 inch in diameter. That's what they use to calibrate the depth meter, as far as telling you what the depth meter means. So what that means to you is this. All right, if you have a 1 inch coin in the United States, I'm going to call it a quarter. Okay, uh, other countries, you have 1 inch coins or 25 millimeter diameter coins. Okay, if that 1 inch coin is right below the surface, you're going to get a very strong signal strength, which will register as a shallow target. If that 1 inch coin is deeper, say 6, 7, 8 inches deep, you are going to get a much lower signal strength and a much deeper reading on your depth meter. Okay, deep depth meter reading equals weak signal strength. Shallow depth meter reading equals a strong signal strength. Now, those depths aren't always the case. So if I take this aluminum can and I bury it 8 inches deep, it's going to still have a very strong signal strength. Okay, aluminum cans have a very strong, high conductive, very, very attractive to a metal detector. Okay, metal detectors love aluminum cans. They hit them with a very strong signal strength. So that can be 8 inches deep and show on your metal detector as a shallow target because the signal strength is strong. If you put this on the surface, like right below the surface, you're going to get, on most metal detectors, you're going to get a very, very strong signal strength that you can tell it has a distinct sound, kind of like an overload sound. All right, and I have demonstrations of this on some of my videos. Now, if you get that overload sound and you pick your coil up off the ground, sometimes you can get your coil, 1.5 feet off the ground and still hit that target. If you have that, it's a pretty good chance it's not, it's not a shallow coin. It is something big. All right. And you use these tools to really infer the actual depth and size of your targets. The Manticore has an actual depth meter, separate from the ferrous and non-ferrous. The Legend has its depth meter as well as a separate ferrous and non-ferrous gauge. Other metal detectors maybe don't have depth meters, and you have to go strictly by the sound. But even then, this can on the surface is going to sound very strong, or not on the surface, but this can deeper is going to sound very strong and could sound very similar to a shallow small target. A larger target shallow is going to have, a larger target deep is going to have the same signal strength profile as a proportionally small target on the surface. Okay, tiny little target can be on the surface, have a strong signal strength. You put that tiny target deeper, you're going to have a very weak signal strength. So when you do have a weak signal strength, a very weak signal strength, or what looks like a deep target, what you have to think in your head is this signal strength, this depth meter is telling me I have a deep target. It is either a normal sized target deep, or it is a very small target, which could be shallow, could be, up to the limit of detection for that small of a target, but could be deeper, could be shallow, small target. And it takes a little practice to really figure out what's going on there. And it's never 100%. It's never even 90%. Okay, it's more like 50% accuracy. So if you detect all the time, you're gonna all the time dig targets that are a different depth than what you thought. It's just how it goes with metal detecting. But again, depth meters are signal strength meters. So you can't go by, hey, you can't complain that, hey, my detector said this was 2 inches deep, but it was 6 inches deep. That's how it goes with all metal detectors. Anyway, that's it for depth meters. Appreciate you watching. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody, and swing away.